Well, welcome to Scripture Reading 34, and we're going to continue. Had to take a couple of days off, but I'm back at it. So we're in Genesis chapter 32 today. So let's go to the website. Okay, well, my website seems to be a little bit off, so what I'll do is I'll just read to you. Okay, we're in the King James Bible online, and Genesis chapter 32, verse 1. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of the Lord met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, "This is the Lord's host," and he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, onto the land of Seir and the county of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, "Thus shall ye speak unto thy lord Esau. Thy servant Jacob saith thus, I have sojourned with Laban, and stayed there until now. And I have oxen and asses, and flocks, and men servant and women servants, and I have sent to tell my Lord that I may find grace in thy sight." And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and the 400 men with him." Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and the herds, and the camels, into 2 bands. And he said, "If Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape." Then Jacob said, "O Lord of my father Abraham, and Lord of my father Isaac, the Lord which saith unto me, Return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. I am not worthy of the least of all these mercies, and of all the truth which thou hast strewn unto thy servant. And with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I am become 2 bands. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children. And thou sayest, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude." And he lodged there for that same night, and took of that which came to his hand to present for Esau his brother, and 200 she-goats and 20 he-goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milch camels with their colts, 40 kine and 10 bulls, 20 she-asses and 10 foals. And he delivered them into the hands of his servants, even drove them themselves, and said unto his servants, Pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, When Esau my brother meeteth thee, and asks thee, saying, Who art thou, and whither goest thou, and who are these before thee? Then thou shalt say, They be the servant of Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau, and behold, also he is behind us. And so commanded he the second and the third of all that followed the droves, saying, On this manner shall they speak unto Esau when ye find him. And say ye moreover, Behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him, and the present that goeth before me, and after I will see his face. Peradventure he will accept of me. So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And he rose up that night, and took his 2 wives, and his 2 women servants, and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. And he took them and sent them over the brook, and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the marrow of his thigh, and the marrow and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, and he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen the Lord face to face, and my life is preserved. And he was as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew from shank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh, until this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shinnaked. Well, sorry I couldn't show the text, but I'll have that fixed for the next reading. This is one of those unusual chapters that doesn't really seem to be about anything significant, but there may be something in here. I'll just go through it verse by verse quickly. So it's about Jacob, and And the angels of the Lord met him. So there were some angels that met him. And Jacob saw them, and he said, "This is the Lord hosts," and called them the name of the place Mahanani. So then it's about Jacob and Esau and their conflict. And so what Jacob did was he divided all of his animals into two sections, thinking that it would get passed. And then in 7, you can see where he says, "Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and the herds and the camels into 2 bands." So the idea was that if Esau came to saw one of the group and smite them, the other would survive. So this was the whole idea. So this goes on. And then in verse 12, he talks about the fact that he is blessed. And actually go back to 11. It says, "With the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me and my mother." So there's a big grudge there. So then it talks about the numbers of animals and so on like this. And this goes on for some time. And down at verse 18, it says that they shall be the servant of Jacob's in the present sent unto the Lord Esau. Behold, he is behind us. So Jacob tells these groups to tell Esau that he is following. So this goes on, and then yes, so then in verse 23, actually 21, I'm trying to see where he meets that man. Okay, in 21, he went the present over before him, and himself lodged the night in the company. He rose up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 women servants and so on, and passed over the ford. They crossed the river or a lake, or probably a brook, it says here. And then it says here where there's going to be a name change. And verse 28, Jacob gets his name changed to Israel. Okay, and Jacob asked him, he said, "Tell me, I pray thee, thy name." He says, "Wherefore is the name?" So, so there was a struggle, and during that struggle, and that went on all night between Jacob and, I guess it was an angel. He touched the hollow of the shank of the leg, and that's associated with eating certain food. So in the end, the last verse, verse 32, it says, "Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh, upon this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh." So there's some association with food. Okay, well, kind of an interesting little chapter about Jacob and Esau and their fight. Probably an historian can get more detail out of it. So we'll go on to chapter 32 tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be able to continue. So thank you for joining me, and we'll see you tomorrow.